Alright, so this video is a follow-up to the Product Management 101 video, where we explored product's attributes and we also looked at briefly some related fields, for example, department, category, size, and these sorts of things. So we're going to explore how to modify those related fields today where you can. So most of these things, these elements like department, category, size, and whatnot are found on the admin tab. So categories is the most clear one. So here's product categories, and it starts out with a tree view of my kind of main food groups of products, and if I expand these out, I can drill down and see the tiers of departments and categories, and in the case of other red, this third level is my subcategories. So if I want to create a new one or edit one, I can select from the list, or I can click new like I did, and first I need to select my parent. Now if the parent is going to be, for example, liquor, then I would select liquor. If the parent is going to be tequila, then I would select tequila. Now if I select tequila as the parent, then what I'm creating right now is a subcategory. If I say that this department does not have a parent group, that goes away, and that means that I'm creating one of those department type items. All I need to do is define a description and a code. Most of our clients make the description and the code the same value. A reason why, and you'll see this recurring throughout the application, this code field, it a lot of times has to do with maybe a certain way you want a report to look, or in other cases it can relate to an integration with another system. For example, if we integrate to GP, the department code could potentially bear an impact on, like what GL account inside the accounting system these products dump into. So again, if I go back to the admin tab and I want to modify my size list, there's product sizes. Most of these attributes are pretty simplistic lists, department and code. I create a new one in here, and it's going to create a new drop-down option for me to use when I'm creating products or modifying products. Now, key point is that if I changed like this size to remove the space or do something wrong like I'm doing right now, it will modify every product that had this size attached to it. So when you change it here, it changes everywhere. The same thing holds true with your department categories and subcategories. If you change it there, anything that was associated with that product group will be affected. So this is size. Let's talk about discounts a little bit. Discounts that a product is attached to are what's called a product discount. You can also see custom discounts and coupon definitions. These three things are actually all the same in terms of how you create them, and they are all discounts. The difference is how they get used. So a product discount gets attached to a product, and then it executes automatically once certain criteria are met. So for example, a case discount, buy 12 bottles of wine, you get 10% off. That's a product discount, and that automatically occurs at the point of sale anytime somebody meets the qualification. A custom discount is a discount that you create with all of these rules, like it can only be applied to this product but not this product, etc. But it is activated by way of a point of sale button. So an example would be an employee discount, where maybe they only get their discount on, going back to the liquor store example we're working on, wine and liquor but not beer, because beer has a lower margin. Or in a restaurant, maybe all of your food drink is covered by a discount, but not some other type of product, maybe t-shirts that you sell at the restaurant that have your logo on them. Coupons, same idea. You can create this discount scheme that has qualifications, but it is only activated when somebody presents a coupon code, which could be, for example, embedded in a barcode. So a cashier scans the barcode, and only when they do that will they get 10% off their food and drink, but not clothing. So discounts are all the same, it's just how are they activated. A custom discount happens typically by way of a button click on a task pad. A coupon definition is when they scan the barcode of a coupon or manually enter that coupon code into a transaction. And a product discount happens automatically once the qualification is met. So we're going to go into product discounts, and we're going to take a look at some that I've created. So you can see we have a wine case discount. I'm going to open this up, and while you're in this grid, you do get some feedback about the way the discount engine is configured, but there's too much to know about how this works in order to display all that in a grid. So you give it a name, you determine whether or not it's active. So this active flag will shut it off without deleting it. It's still in the system, it just does nothing. You can give it a start and an end date, and you also note you don't have to. You can assign it to run on certain days of the week. So this case discount goes all the time. It has no expiration date. It will work forever. What's kind of neat is remember that this discount is activated by way of just automatically whenever the qualifications are met. But we have customers that provide a senior citizens discount on, say, Tuesday only. So you would create a custom discount that's only active on Tuesday, and if somebody hit that button on a Wednesday, you'd get a warning message. It wouldn't allow you to do that. On the right-hand side, I have my filter. So department equals wine, and I could continue to add to this filter and say where tag does not equal non-discountable or something like that. Or you can use the other flags on a product to determine whether or not something's discountable. But you can filter this. You could filter the location. So you can see the locations are listed here in the grid. I could add an additional filter that would make it so that the location equals, not equals, etc. The topic of building a filter is more thoroughly covered in the reporting training of the system, and I'm not going to go through it now. You can add just some generic notes. Now the discount engine type is once you create this discount, you can no longer change it. So I'm going to show you what the options are for this in a moment, but this discount engine is a percentage off, and it's 10% off, and the quantity required is 12. And you can see the results from the filter too. Like any of these items that you're looking at, these fall inside the filter that I've set up. The idea here is that we want to show you what qualifies as part of the discount, at least give you a preview. There's too many wines to show them all here, but at least you have a taste of the kinds of items that would qualify for this discount. Require identical items. This means can I mix and match wine? And in this case, the answer is yes. If I said no, they would have to be 12 bottles of exactly the same thing. Apply to odd items too. This would mean that the 13th and 14th bottles would also get 10% off. And allow discount in related items. So related items are typically found either by way of a tag-along item or by way of food items where you have these child items, like I buy a sandwich and I want extra tomatoes, So these are related items, and this option will determine whether this discount is applied to these children or not. Always means it'll be applied regardless of whether the item falls inside this filter or not. So if I have a sale on all sandwiches, tomato is not a type of sandwich, it's a condiment. So if I say yes, then the extra tomato that you pay 50 extra cents for, it would also get this discount. Depending on related item means that it would have to fall inside the filter criteria. Allow double dipping. So double dipping means that this discount would be applied potentially on top of another sale price. So like if the item was on sale this weekend and you just set a generic sale price, if you check this box, then this discount would be applied in addition to that sale pricing. This checkbox also apply to POS non-discountable products. This means if you mark the item as not being discountable at the point of sale, will it still apply this discount or not? Apply this discount only once. This means that I get the discount. In this case, it doesn't really apply because we've stated that this will work with odd items too, but how many, if you do a buy one, get one free sale, do you want people to be able to buy four and get two for free, or is it really limited only to one? And then the lower bounds is an element of a product record that you can set, and you can determine whether this discount is going to make the system exceed that, go below that low bounds price without an error message. That covers discounts. I want to show you the discount engine type. So we looked at percent off, but you can see there are a number of other different options here. For example, buy 12 bottles of wine, it will give you price level A instead of regular price. Or a fixed price, meaning buy 12 bottles of wine, get this for $1. Buy 12 bottles of wine, get $1 off each. Most of these are pretty straightforward, worth playing around with a little bit. Buy some, get some cheaper. This is where you could set a buy one, get one free, or a buy one, get one for 50% off. Important thing to note here is that the system is smart enough to optimize these types of discounts so that it will give the customer the best possible deal, and but it won't unfairly discount as well. So if it's buy one, get one free, and they buy a $100 item, a $90 item, an $80 item, a $70 item, no matter what order you ring those products up in, the buy one item is going to be the most expensive, the $100. The get one's going to be the $90. The buy one's going to be the $80, and then the get one for free is going to be the $70. So the system will optimize the discount to what is fair to the customer and also fair to the retailer. The buy some, get some cheaper is a very intelligent discount scheme. And remember, you can make it so that these get activated automatically. That's a product discount. Activated by way of a coupon only, or activated only when somebody clicks a button. So those are discounts. One other thing that we got to see when we were exploring a product was labels. Okay, so on the admin tab we have our different label templates, but to actually print labels is on the tools menu. So right here it says generate labels based on product changes. So when I opened this up, I have a bunch of options pre-selected. For example, I have the Dallas store selected, and I have the event types listed as other only. The rest of these are unchecked. When I use the system, the first time I enter this page, the options that I like are probably not going to be selected, but the system will remember your preferences so that the next time you come to this page, you won't have to select so many things. Now, it's based on the computer that you're standing in front of. So if you do this on another computer, the preferences are going to be based on that machine. The idea behind this preference memory is that, you know, I probably don't care and don't want to see labels that relate to the Boise location if I'm at the Dallas location. So if you check the box for Dallas and none of the other stores, then so be it. If I have 10 different labels, but I typically use this one, it's going to remember which label template I'm typically choosing. Same thing with the different event types. You know, some people use a bunch of these, others don't use many of them, and so it'll remember what you chose, and it'll reselect that each time. So the locations filters out which labels belong to which store, and you can see this one here from an earlier training video I was actually doing where I added this to the label queue, and this type is a type of other. Okay, when you manually add a label to the queue, that's a type of other. The start and end time relate to when this item was added to the label queue, and I can click print and it will spit out my labels for me, or I can change the quantity if I want, etc. Now, a few other pretty interesting things here is that the idea behind the system is that if you want to print a label, the system is going to try to predict what you might need a label for and make it easy for you to do that printing. So, for example, if I create new products, I probably am going to need a label. So why make somebody click buttons to add labels to the queue when I've created new products and I always need a new label in that situation? Or if I change a price, for example. So these things where we think you may need a label, we're tracking those events and automatically adding those to the label queue for you if you need them. So, for example, if I click on new product, or if I click on regular price, or description change, you know, my queue will grow as I make those changes. So I'm going to go back in time here a little bit just to get some more things in here, but you can see it's been keeping track of all of these different events, when they happened, etc. And now I can go ahead and print labels. Now you can see this checkbox here that says filter out printed. So the system also keeps track of when you print something out and it takes it out of the queue so you don't print it again. And then additionally, we have a filter here to filter out $0 price items. So pretty good example, we have these miscellaneous products that are prompt for price at the POS type products, but you're not going to print a label for them. They don't go on the shelf. So you may want to tell the system to remove those. You don't care about those, and they're gone. They're no longer in your label queue. One other piece of label printing that you may find interesting, which is covered in the point of sale training, is that label printing can also be done from the point of sale and not from the back office if you want. Really straightforward. You essentially just add some items to the transaction and you can print labels for everything on the transaction, or right from the search window you can print a label. Idea being that there's an easy way for a cashier who sees that a label is missing from the shelf to go ahead and print one, or print a bunch if they want. So the final topic that I'm going to discuss relating to things related to some of the stuff we saw when we were viewing our product records is tax. So that is also on the admin page, and we have two different things for tax. We have sales taxes and sales tax jurisdictions. The idea here is that an individual tax can be made up of multiple tax jurisdictions. I can have a city tax and I can have a state tax, etc. So tax jurisdictions are a subgroup of sales taxes, and so we're going to take a look at both of those. So I'm going to open up liquor tax. Now, you can see we can hit the drop down, which contains a list of my different tax jurisdictions, 6.5 and 9%, and I could add that jurisdiction to this tax type. So now my total tax for liquor is going to be 15.5%, if I wanted it to be. Or I've got my jurisdictions over here, and this is where I define a description of code, potentially a fixed amount, and a percentage. Now, you noticed with my liquor tax that even though liquor tax is typically, excuse me, you're going to back up here. Liquor tax is 9% in the state of Minnesota currently. You notice that I don't have 6.5% state tax and 2.5% liquor tax, which is technically what it really is. We can do that, and that is technically a correct way to do that. Most customers, just as an FYI, don't. They just have one tax and call it 9% and call it a day. The disadvantage of splitting this up into individual jurisdictions is that you get 2 rounding errors instead of 1. So every time you ring up product at the point of sale, it's computing tax for the items that you're selling. But if we have to track tax into multiple buckets, then we also have to round that data up and down, because ultimately, while in the system and in the database, we actually track this out to either 4 or 5, quite a few decimal places. But at the end of the day, when you fire up a report that's calculating dollar values, and when you charge your customers, you're charging them to the nearest cent, right? So the more tax jurisdictions, the more rounding errors you're going to have. So while you can have that sophistication in the system, and sometimes you have to, overall we recommend that you keep it as simple as you can. It still is very easy to pay the state or whatever other entity you need to pay, but it's less confusing in a way for your customers and for you. So that wraps up my additional product related attributes training. Thanks.